Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode and question. I really hope that you answered any previous questions that you've been asked to this point, because what's the point of watching if you don't go out and answer the questions? Well, I'm here today, and as you can see, I'm in a new setting, and I'm very casual. No shave, in a t-shirt, my favorite t-shirt. My wife gave this to me, and I'm just excited because today I'm going to talk to you about freedom. Freedom, 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 true freedom. Freedom. Now, I don't know about you, and I don't know if this would be your answer to the question of why did you start your business? Because I'm amazed at how many people say, I wanted freedom, I wanted to control my time, I wanted to be able to do what I wanted when I wanted, and then they end up working 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. That's not freedom. So I want to ask you, what is the difference between a business that grows from nothing and becomes worth millions, and a business that grows and becomes an income producer for the owner? What is the difference in those two companies? How is it? What did one person do? Where they absolutely went out and they built a company, they got customers, they built stuff up so that someone would walk in and say, hey, that's worth millions of dollars. Here's a big check. Or what is it about the person who works just as hard, who works just as long, who's just as ambitious, who has every good intention, but at the end of the day, when they're done working, their company often just disappears and there's no evidence it was there, or someone comes in and buys it for its assets or something else that the business owns, but certainly it's not worth millions. And I hope to expose today what I have learned is the difference. The first difference, I believe, is people. For whatever reason, some companies are willing to attract and pay people who bring value to the company they work for. Whereas other companies seemingly just find people, they pay them as little as possible, and then when all is said and done, that company only benefits from the work that that person does. And here's what I mean by that. There are two types of employees, not good and bad, not, skilled and unskilled. There are employees who bring value to the company they work for in terms of they bring customers, they make suggestions, they improve processes, they do stuff that makes the company more valuable. The other type of employee is an employee who simply benefits from what the company does. So if you were to hire me, and I sat at my desk and I did what I was told, and you went out as the owner and you got customers, and those customers made work for me to do, and all I did was what you told me to do for those customers, and then I went home. As compared to you hiring another employee who you say, I've got this customer, go do this, and they look at you and they go, listen, here's what I figured out. If we offered that service to this other customer over here, we could bring in more revenues. Or they say, is this the type of customer you're looking for? Let me go out and find some others. I know somebody who could. Or they basically challenge you to look at what you're doing for ways you could do it better. Or they challenged the company, they challenged everything and said, here's what I think we can do to improve, to get more customers, to spend less time with those customers, but still give the same service, to provide better services, to add this as an extra. Sometimes, to us business owners, those type of employees become a nuisance. They're constantly asking questions. They're constantly making suggestions. And on the surface, you may think you're better off with the one who sits at their desk and does what they're told. But the reality is, if your business is full of those people who can only do what they're told, and something happens to you, they're going to be told to go home and find another job. Whereas if your business is full of people who take initiative and try to improve things, and something happens to you, you may find out that that company gets bigger when you're gone. But as long as you're still the owner, that's okay. But people make a huge difference in creating a multi-million-dollar company. The second difference might be technology. Some companies are great at using technology. Other companies simply do it to perform simple tasks. I use technology so that people can go online and buy my books, buy tickets for the events that I host. I use it to show videos so that people understand how I help them be successful. I use it in a lot of ways to grow my company. How are you using technology? Is it something you avoid like the plague? Or is it something you're putting in place so that people can buy from you? So that people can learn about your company? So that people can execute what you do without you having to do it personally, or without you having to pay somebody to do it on an hourly basis? And the third, and maybe the most important, is systems. I'm going to ask you 8 questions when this series is done. And if you subscribe or are part of some of the other things that I do, I constantly make suggestions on ways that you can improve your business. Some of them will work for your company. Others simply won't work for your company. The ones that do work, how do you take it from here's a good idea to here is a system that we use to get customers? Here is a system we use to make sure our customers are satisfied. Here is a system we use to let tens of thousands of people know what we do and how we can help them. If you are the only one who knows how to create instant desire, how to build a following, how to create intrinsic value, how to recognize an ideal client, then your company totally depends on you doing those things. But if you create systems where the receptionists, where the instructors, where the production workers can see opportunities, can recognize ideal clients, can understand what to say to create some instant desire or to contribute to the following, your company is building intrinsic value. And when your company builds intrinsic value, one of 3 things will happen. Someone will write you a big check, maybe for millions, to totally take over your company. And those millions will set you for life. Maybe it's your children or someone who's very close to you and they understand your business, but they don't have millions, so they'll pay you hundreds of thousands a month for your business. Or maybe while you're still in business, maybe someone will pay hundreds of thousands plus so much per month to take what you do where you live, and they'll go do it somewhere else. They'll go and do it with a group of people you can never reach. So you're making money even when you're in your favorite t-shirt, even when you don't shave, and you can hang out with your wife or your husband or your children, or watch golf or watch sports or do whatever it is that you enjoy in life and still make money. But you can't do that without building intrinsic value in your people, your technology, and your systems. And that's what we want you to focus on for this week's question, which is, what can you do starting today to build intrinsic value in your company? What can you do to start building intrinsic value in your company? And here are the tools: the people, the technology, the systems. How can you take what you do well? How can you take what makes your company money? How can you identify your ideal client? How can you do all the things that generates revenues for your company, that creates customer satisfaction? How can you take all those things and help your people do those things or add value to what you're already doing? How can you create technology? How can you create technologies that do those things for you automatically so you don't have to be there? And how can you systematize it so that anyone can come in, read your documentation, and go out and make money doing the same thing that you're doing? If you do that, you have created intrinsic value. And you will have a company that can survive should you get sick, or should you just decide, I want to go unshaven and live in my t-shirt for the rest of my life. So I'll see you back here next week. And I'm going to force you, literally force you, to make what is going to be a very tough personal decision about your business. And really the rest of your life. So I look forward to seeing you next week.